Thank you, Sarah, Sheila, and Arvel. It gives you a little glimpse into what Friday night and Saturday has been. For those of you who weren't able to be there, let me just say a few words about Stacey. Stacey Rhoades graduated from Fresno Pacific University with a bachelor's degree in contemporary Christian ministries. She then earned her master's degree in counseling from National University. Then, for more than 25 years, Stacey practiced as a licensed clinical professional counselor, working with youth and women in crisis and with active duty military members and their families. In February 2022, so that's 2 years ago, she traded her counseling license for a real estate license and is currently a realtor with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services in Kanab, Utah. Stacey works 2 days a week as a bartender in a local tavern as well. Stacey has led the Tree of Life narrative therapy tool with a wide variety of groups, everything from church groups to military personnel to business configurations. Welcome, Stacey.
So if anybody wants to go get a drink after church, see me in the back. It has been a pleasure to be here this weekend. I just want to share a little bit about the Tree of Life for those of you who were not able to come. So the Tree of Life was started as a narrative therapy in Africa for children that were victims of genocide. It has since been adapted for small groups, for church groups, for businesses. But the Tree of Life, I never tell people that they have to draw their own tree before they come, because I feel like, if they knew that, it's like, I'm not artistic, I'm not coming. So I basically lied to people to get them there. But the tree is basically a metaphor and a way to look at your life through the metaphor of a tree. So your roots are basically just that. What is your heritage? Where do you come from? Who and what from your parents, your grandparents, make you who you are today? So I always share, for me, my father's side was hardworking farmers, dairy farmers, cow-calf ranchers, and then my mother's side of the family was get your education. They were doctors. They were, my great-grandfather on my mother's side was the first Mennonite missionary to India. So, two very different upbringings, but how do those two things make me who I am today? So those are the roots. The trunk of the tree, of your tree, is basically your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your competencies. The branches, we heard talked about today, basically your hopes, dreams, and visions. And people, we need to keep dreaming. Keep dreaming. We need to keep dreaming. The leaves are people in your life, living or departed, that have made a significant impact in your life. And then the fruit are soft gifts that you've been given from other people. So it's not necessarily tangible, but it's things like kindness and compassion. And in my family, it was really a sense of justice. So that's a little bit about the tree, but I just want to thank everybody who came, those who had brought food and made food. It was delicious. And most of all, I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability. It was such a moving time with the people that were there. So thank you for your willingness to share truly from your heart. So thank you for that. And It's just a reminder to me that we need each other. So diving into the sermon, I started thinking about how many questions do we ask people every day, or are we asked? So when I think about having been a psychotherapist for 27 years, then it's questions like, how does that make you feel? And questions like, how long have you been feeling that way? So as a therapist, you're asking questions to receive an answer. As a realtor, it's, do you want to live in the city or the county? How many bedrooms do you want? How many bathrooms do you want? How much square footage? Do you have horses? Do you not have horses? As a bartender, it's pretty easy. What do you want to drink? But then there's a lot of questions. Do you want an ale? Do you want a stout? Do you want a porter? Do you want an IPA? Do you drink wheat? So we are bombarded with questions. And so when you think of your own profession, you're asking questions to receive an answer. And so for me, I started thinking about that. I live in a small town, less than 5,000 people. So when you're going about your day and you pass somebody on the street, if you know them, you really do have two options. You can walk past and it's like, hey, how are you doing? I'm good, great. Hey, I really wish you a great day. And that's it. But have you ever noticed what happens when you walk up to somebody and you stop? How are you today? Then you get their story, right? But if you're moving on, it's like, yep, good to see you, wishing you a great day. But if you stop, people are willing to share with you. People will begin to tell you, you know what, I'm not doing well, or I've had a hard day, or any form of any answer, but you've stopped. And so when I think about that, there are times we don't have time to stop. We're in a hurry, we're going somewhere. But when we do take the time to stop, are we prepared to just stay there and listen to people? And I think it's important that we're honest with each other, that if you don't have time, pass on by and be friendly. But if you have time, I encourage you to stop. We have absolutely no idea what the person sitting next to you right now is going through. We're just not that vulnerable. If we saw each other walking down the street, would we stop and say, how are you doing today? So thinking of that in terms of the Exodus 17 text, thank you, Sarah. Who are the people in our life? It really does come back to the tree of life. So Moses sends Joshua out to fight the Amalekites. The only way, once his hands got tired, whenever his hands were getting tired and weak, then the Amalekites were winning. But Aaron and Hur propped him up on a stone, and one on each side of him, and they held his hands up. And as long as Moses' hands were held, they won the war. And so then I think about, who are the Aaron and Hurs in your life? Who has been there for you when you were going through a battle? And vice versa, who have you been an Aaron and Hur for? So for me, it really, as part of the tree of life as well, if you're thinking of somebody's name right now, I highly suggest send them a note, send them a text, send them an email, call them. You know what? There was a time in my life when you held up my hands and helped me through a battle, and I couldn't make it on my own, but you helped me. Just the importance of being able to reach out to people and tell them, thank you. Thank you for being a part of my life. Thank you for being there in a time in my life when I needed someone and there was no one else, and you were there for me. So when I was thinking about talking today, I came across a quote from Pope Francis. So, and I believe it was a quote that he was using for this year's Lent. So Pope Francis said, "Lent is a time to break the chains of our individualism and to rediscover our companions along the journey of each day through encounter and listening, and to learn once more how to love them as brothers and sisters." Woo! That was a call to action for me, to read that. So for me, then, it comes down to breaking chains of individualism, but how do we encounter and listen to people that we are with every day? And so my question to you is, who are the companions along your journey? And I'm not saying they're all easy. Many of us go to work every day. There's people you pass by, there's neighbors, there's people at the grocery store checkout stand. We're around people all the time. So how are we encountering them, and how are we listening to them? And I mean, for Pope Francis, of course, it's during this time of Lent. So I will give you some of my musings on that from my life. Sorry, I'm a storyteller, so you're gonna be hearing some stories. But so my companions along my journey is, number one, real estate. So never thought I'd be a realtor, but I absolutely love it. But when you stop and think about it, I have complete strangers calling me from California, Oregon, Washington. I right now have a client who's wanting to buy a townhouse in Kanab, Utah from Connecticut. But they're calling, we're driving through, we were wondering if we could meet with you and go see some property. These are complete strangers. I'm opening my car door and saying, get on in. Let's go look at some property. I mean, I don't know these people. So, but it's such a great opportunity because it's a captive audience in my truck, driving around town and just asking them, why Kanab? Why are you wanting to move here? What is it about this place that drew you here? And in the course of hearing those conversations, we're building a relationship. And many times I've had the opportunity, people are just blunt. If they don't know you, they're just blunt. And I've had people say before, we're not going to work with anybody who's not a Christian. And I was like, great. Let's talk about Jesus. And, so it's like, some people are really amazing, but, and then there's some people that, if you're a Trump supporter, I'm not going to sit in your vehicle. People are brutally honest. And my feeling is, being a realtor, if you're going to build a relationship with them, you need to make sure that they feel comfortable and they trust you. So if I'm not the right person for you, I'm happy to help you find the right person, right? So Yeah, so real estate has been very, very interesting and has allowed me many opportunities to talk with people, to encounter them, and do a ton of listening. But let's talk about the bar for a second. Never thought I'd be a bartender, didn't have the first clue about pouring a mixed drink. And so a couple, the church that I go to, a couple bought the longest bar in Arizona. So it's 97 feet contiguous, so there's no place along the bar that you can walk through the middle. So you're walking 97 feet, yeah. And so I was doing the Tree of Life at my church. And the bar owners had, two people had left. And so during the middle of the Tree of Life, she said, "Would you be open to bartending a couple nights a week?" I was like, "Absolutely not. Like, I don't know anything about that." And so they were very gracious, and I said, "Okay, yeah." So there's Mondays, open and close. So they're at 2:30. The bar opens at 3. It closes at 9, and then I close it up, and I'm home by 10. And then Thursdays is big. It's like trivia night, and all kinds of things. So, but I just wanted to talk about my Monday nights, or my Monday days. So I'm there at 2:30, and there's 8 regulars. They come every Monday at 3 o'clock. 4 of them have worked in the bar in the past, like 50 years ago, 60 years ago. The bar is just 4 miles from Kanab. So Kanab's right on the Utah-Arizona state line. So they talked about, we worked here, so thousands of Western movies have been filmed in Kanab. And so they used to work at the Buckskin Tavern. That's where I work. They used to work at the Buckskin Tavern when there were hitching posts and no road that went through there, and then people would ride their horses. So John Wayne would be there, Clint Eastwood would be there, and they would hitch up horses and then come into the Buckskin. So all of that aside, I started asking these 8 people, you know what, every Monday we're going to have a question of the day. And they were like, "Stacey, we're not playing any games." Because they're all in their late 70s, early 80s, and they're like, "We have absolutely no desire to play any game you want to play." And I was like, "Okay, fine." And so about 6 weeks ago, I didn't call it a game. They just walked in and I started asking them a question. So now, when I go at 2:30, by 2:40, they're already in the parking lot and they're knocking on the door. 2 of them are in walkers, so they're like with their walkers on the door, and so I can't leave them out there. And so I unlock the bar, and they come in, and they're like, "What's the question of the day?" And I'm like, "And we're not even open. Like, come in here and sit down. We open at 3. We want to know what the question of the day is." And so, to me, that's encounter and listening. So the last 3 weeks, my last 3 weeks of Monday questions were, what is your favorite childhood memory? What was the best piece of advice you've ever been given? And last week was, what is one regret you have? And these people start talking, and then it just brings up all of their life stories. And then they're just beginning to, they don't even know it, but they're just beginning to have this huge conversation. And I almost feel like it's group therapy at the bar. But it's fantastic because it's a way to really build a relationship with these people that are coming to the bar. So those are people that I encounter on a daily basis. So I really want you to think about who are you with every day? And are you trying to make a difference in their life, number one? Number two, what are you doing to draw them in to the point that they trust you enough to begin to tell you their story? Everybody has a story. But to be able to trust you enough just to share their story with you, there's been times, I am not going to lie, there have been times I've been laughing so hard I thought I was going to pee. But there's been times that we've just sat around and just bawled. We were just all crying to be able to hear people's stories. And so when you think about the Pope and talking about breaking the chains of individualism, you know what? It would be easy for all 8 of those people to sit there and not say a word, watch the sports, ESPN that's on the TV, have their drink and talk to no one. But now it's like we've kind of become this little family. So I told them that I was coming on this trip, and they were like, "Are you leaving a question of the day for the person who's coming?" And I said, "I didn't even think about it, but I will. I'll text it to the owner, and they can, put it up, because there's a little dry erase board up there. So they can do that." But I said, "But you're going to have to answer it again, because I'm not going to be able to hear your answers." So just all of that to say, we really, really, really need each other. And there's so many people in our lives that are doing things, and we need to tell them, "Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing in my life." So another thing for me, and Sarah had brought this up over the weekend, and for me it's, I'm an extrovert. I know it's hard to tell, but I have been single all my life. So when I go to restaurants, many times I look for other single people, and then I ask if I can sit with them and have dinner with them, and then get to know them. So I want you to know, everybody I've ever asked has always said yes. There has never been one person who has said, "No, I would rather you not sit with me while I'm sitting here alone in a restaurant." And it's amazing to me how just hearing, who are you? What do you do? Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get here? So whether it's in my local hometown, or I'm, showing property somewhere else in the state, I'm always looking for people to hear their story. And so, yeah. Who do you come in contact with? Who are you encountering? And who are you listening to? So I think it's important that we understand that. But most of all, how are we encountering and listening to God in our life? It's a hard question, because life is busy. And we go about our days, and we want to take time to pray, and we want to take time to read the Bible, and we want to be in fellowship and with our friends. But when life gets so busy, I realized for myself this year, I do a Tree of Life every year on January 1. And it's amazing to see how hopes and dreams have changed through the years, but hopes and dreams that I thought were way too big to put on my tree have actually come to pass. So I'm just going to say it again. You need to dream. You need to have hopes. You need to dream. So, but how easy is it when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, my husband hasn't been feeling well lately. Could you be praying for us?" And you're like, absolutely, I'd love to do that. And then you walk off. I mean, our intention is, yes, we do want to pray for you, but I used to be the type of person that if somebody would say that to me, then I was like, let's just pray. Let's just pray right now. Let's pray for your husband right now. And why did I stop doing that? I don't know. I don't know. But for me, then I start, analyzing myself. Like, am I ashamed of the gospel? Am I afraid somebody might see me praying? It's not that. Like, my life is not so busy that I can't stop for 3 to 5 minutes and just pray with you for what you're going through. To me, it's like, I didn't listen to them. It was an encounter, and I didn't listen. I heard what they said, but if you just take one more step and say, let's just pray right now. It's not difficult, but it's just the part of taking that extra step to say, I see you. I see you. And I appreciate the comments. There were several comments over the weekend about people stating how it feels to be seen. That when you share something with somebody and then you feel like you have been seen. So, yeah, I wrote in my notes, I'm not good with sitting in silence. I need background music, I need the TV on, I wish I was better, but I just don't sit well in silence. So that was one of my goals. Can you, are you with me, Sheila? Come on now. And so it was one of my goals this year. And I realized how powerful silence is. And it's still very hard, and I know introverts do it every day. And hats off to you, I love you for that. But I don't do it well. But I'm so thankful that I'm adding that into my daily routine of just my listening to God and my encountering God. So I want to leave you with a quote. Jay Danzy he's a blogger and an author, but he had a quote that kind of rocked my world a little bit. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after an experience or an encounter with you is your trademark. Whoa. When people spend time with you, when they leave spending time with you, how do they feel? Have they been heard? Have they been seen? Are they encouraged? Are they, yeah. Okay, I'm going to read it again because it's worth hearing twice. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. There's a lot I'd love to say about that, but I'm just going to leave it right there. What is your trademark? We need each other, everybody. We need each other. We need to be holding up the arms of people that are struggling around us, because you know what? There will come a time when you need someone to hold your hand and hold you up in the midst of the battle. So, okay.